All right, let's talk about creativity, but we're going to come at it from a totally different angle today. We're going to dig into the powerful science that shows how moving your body can actually lead to your next big breakthrough.
I mean, have you ever felt completely creatively stuck? You know that feeling, right? You're just staring at a blank screen, or maybe a musical instrument that's just silent. You've hit that wall, and you try to muscle through it to think harder, but nothing. It's just so frustrating, and honestly a feeling we've all had when we're trying to come up with something new.
So, what if the solution isn't in your head at all? What if it's in your feet? Yeah, I know, it sounds kind of weird, right? But there's all this research popping up that says our best ideas don't come when we're chained to our desks. Nope, they show up when we're actually up and moving around.
And look, this isn't just some feel-good idea. There's real data here. A huge study out of Stanford found that just walking boosted a person's creative output by an average of 60%. I mean, 60%. That is a massive jump. So why? What's going on here? Well, the thinking is that when you do some light physical activity, the super strict logical part of your brain kind of chills out. It lets its guard down, and that allows all these more random, creative ideas to bubble up to the surface.
Okay, so how on earth does something as simple as walking have such a huge effect on our creativity? Let's dive into the science behind it.
The big idea here has a fancy name, embodied cognition. But all it really means is that thinking isn't just something that happens in this isolated box in our skulls. Our brains are deeply, deeply connected to our bodies, to our movements, what we touch, what we see, everything.
This is tied to another cool concept called cognitive offloading. It's basically like using your body as a scratch pad. I mean, think about it. When you're explaining something complicated, you use your hands, right? Or you jot down notes. You're literally taking some of the mental load and putting it onto your body. And that frees up brain power to focus on the really big stuff, like coming up with that brilliant idea. And get this, on a brain level, movement literally rewires you. When you do something like dancing, you're firing up all these different brain regions at the same time. The parts for movement, for rhythm, for emotion. It forces them to talk to each other in new ways, building brand new connections. And on top of all that, it releases those feel-good chemicals like endorphins, which just puts you in a better, more open headspace for new ideas.
Okay, so the theory is cool and all, but how do we actually use this? Let's talk about putting it into practice. We're going to build a little toolkit for you.
All right, first thing to know is that creativity isn't just one thing. Scientists usually split it into two main types. You've got divergent thinking, that's the brainstorming part, just throwing tons of ideas out there, going wide. And then you have convergent thinking. That's the total opposite. It's when you need to zero in, refine things, and pick the best idea out of the bunch.
And here is the magic trick. Different kinds of movement help with these different kinds of thinking. So for that divergent thinking, when you just need a ton of new ideas, go for a free-flowing, unstructured movement. Just put on some music and dance around. Or go for a walk with no real destination in mind. But for convergent thinking, when you need to focus and nail down that one great idea, structured movement is your friend. Think about a set dance routine or following a specific workout. That structure actually helps focus your mind.
But wait, it gets even cooler. Turns out this whole thing isn't a one-size-fits-all deal. There's another layer to this, and it's all about our own personal, natural habits.
So researchers started asking, okay, does just making someone move their body help everyone the same way, or is there something more going on here?
And what they found is pretty wild. It turns out the most important thing wasn't the movement they were told to do. It was their natural tendency to gesture when they talk. Are you a hand talker, or do you stay pretty still? That one simple habit was a huge clue for predicting how movement would impact their creativity.
So check this out. For people who don't naturally talk with their hands much, forcing them to gesture actually made them less creative. It was just a distraction. But for the people who were always gesturing, telling them to hold still, well, that completely crushed their originality. They actually needed that movement to be able to think.
So what's the big lesson here? The researchers call it person-context fit. Basically, the best strategy isn't just move more. It's about finding what works for you. You have to find the movement, or maybe even the stillness, that clicks with your own natural style. For some of us, being forced to move is a drag on creativity. And for others, being forced to sit still is.
Okay, let's bring this all home. What does this mean for you the next time you're staring down a creative challenge?
I think the most important thing to remember is this. Creativity is not just a brain thing. It doesn't just happen from the neck up. Your body isn't just a taxi for your brain. It's a real, active partner in how you think and create.
So, next time you're stuck, please don't just sit there and grind it out. Get up,
Go for that walk, have a ridiculous dance party in your living room, and really pay attention to what feels natural for you. Your body is a huge part of your creative toolkit, so the real question is, how are you going to move your next big idea forward?